Today's October 23rd, 2025. I'm not sure how we're still here, alive, but here we are. So this was a couple days ago. The U.S. notified its allies that an escalation is coming. So that's great. So this was in the Caribbean, and obviously it has to do with Venezuela, I would assume, because that's the only country that's really annoying the president right now. Venezuela's been sending some drugs in here. Everybody knows that. But the thing is that Maduro isn't even a legitimate president for Venezuela, just like Zelensky in Ukraine. So this could mean something. It could mean nothing. And I'm not sure why they would warn their allies if nothing's going to happen, but they probably have intelligence that Venezuela's going to try to do something. We cannot confirm or deny that at the moment, but we'll have to see because Venezuela's been, they've been a little tricky for the president to deal with, and it makes sense considering Maduro didn't even legitimately win his election. So Trump isn't really respecting him as a elected official, which is kind of weird because he treats Zelensky pretty well, and he's not even an elected official right now. He's a dictator for a country that's occupied or being occupied. And Zelensky's term was up last May, I believe. So he's not even a legitimate president. There's a few of those around the world, in case you haven't noticed. Syria, Venezuela, Ukraine. We always seem to have issues with them. Wonder why. So anyway, I just wanted to show you this. This could mean nothing at all, but it could mean something. We'll see. Only time will tell. If Venezuela tries to do something soon here, then I'm sure the U.S. will respond. But I thought that was pretty interesting. Also, Russia test fires the Yars nuclear-capable missile, warning to Trump. Yeah, so basically, Trump was debating on whether to give Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine, which could penetrate deep into Russia, which Russia already announced that would be a direct war with the United States. Thankfully, the president said no, although he was very close to saying yes. Maybe that was always the plan, to try to shake Ukraine and Putin, because Trump was so hesitant on it, but now he finally kind of made the decision that no, we're not going to send Tomahawks. But the weapons that the U.S. is selling is being sold to NATO, and then NATO decides what to do with it. Trump is doing that so that Russia can't say we're directly supplying weapons like Biden did, which was leading to direct war. Everybody knows that. Even Putin knows that. But it's kind of interesting how Russia test fires their Yars nuclear-capable missile, which is a very advanced missile. At the same time, Trump says no. So was this planned? I mean, this was a part of a scheduled exercise, as you can see right here. But it's just weird timing how Trump says no and then Russia test fires these missiles. Could it be a message? Probably. Could it not be? Maybe. Who knows? But the timing is very interesting. People have to remember that Russia is a nuclear power and they have enough power to destroy the world. So let's not play games with them. So yeah, that's really all that is. Could it mean something? Yeah, who knows? And then over here, speaking of Russia, I wanted to show you that Medved, however you say his name, Dmitry, he's been having a lot of comments about Trump really in the past like year. So everything he says, you can't really take it as for what it is. He's been kind of he's has some wild comments in the past. But he is the former president of Russia, so whatever he says will get attention. And believe me, the United States government and the administration is listening to everything he says, even if it's ridiculous. So anyway, he basically said Trump is now fully on a warpath with Russia, with oil sanctions and also other deals. Yeah, this is pretty interesting because to say that Trump is on a warpath with Russia is pretty insane compared to what Biden was doing. But at the same time, Trump is not exactly putting enough pressure on Russia or Ukraine to end the war. So in Russia's perspective, Dmitri's perspective, yeah, this probably does kind of look like the war is just going to continue. But you know what? It doesn't really matter because Trump is so tired of the media asking about this war that he literally is going to try to end this war just off that alone. Trump is a very personal guy. Whenever something affects him personally, he gets it done. But if it affects everyone else except him, he doesn't really, it's not a priority, I guess. So that's a little issue Trump has. Like, I mean, he had to get shot in the ear for him to realize that they try to kill him, that they're trying to kill him. And it was only then when he saw the blood, when he was like, okay, maybe they're not dumb. Maybe they're actually smart and organized and they're trying to kill me. Yeah, see, that's the problem with Trump is that he doesn't do anything until it affects him personally. But anyway, this whole Russia situation is affecting him personally because he takes questions from the media every single day and he talks to the media every single day and he's always talking to somebody, okay? So, and the question that people always ask has to do with Russia, Ukraine, and the war. And Trump is so tired of it because he's bringing in $17 trillion of investments already. All the tariff money, the billions in revenue every month that he's taken in, he wants people to talk about that. He does not want people to talk about this war. So in Trump's perspective, he will do some very serious sanctions on Russia and Ukraine just to end the war, kind of like he did with India, Pakistan, because Trump doesn't want the media to ask him about this every day. He wants them to ask him about the economy because he's doing so well on it. So, for those of you who watch Trump and listen to him every day, you know this is true. Trump will only really spring into action once it's affecting him personally. And this is affecting him personally. So now we have the former president of Russia, Dmitry, saying Trump is on a full warpath. Trump doesn't want those optics. And he doesn't want the media to be asking about this. I'm sure someone's going to ask him about it today or tomorrow, about what the former president said, Dmitry. So anyway, that's kind of a long story just to say that Trump is tired of this war personally because the media won't leave him alone. You could say that's selfish, you could say that's whatever, but that's just who he is. And Trump really wants this for his legacy. He's already ended, like 7, 8 wars. If he can end this one, the big one, he's going to retire with a fantastic resume, and he knows it. So there's a few reasons Trump wants to end this war, but it has to do a lot personally with his legacy and his reputation and the media. But this was a big deal. Anytime the former president says something, you should probably listen, even if it's not worth anything. And you can read this for yourself. This is on Zero Hedge, but this won't be the last time that Dmitry says something about Trump. This guy has been pretty vocal about Trump the past year-ish, so. And if the war does continue, which it looks like it is so far, then yeah, he's going to have a lot more comments to say. So that's just a little tidbit about Russia. Trump is seriously trying to end the war, but he's not trying to escalate it. And it's hard to end a war without escalation. Sometimes you need serious escalation to end it. Like the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Like, that ended the war with Japan, but it had to escalate to a very severe level for Japan to surrender. I'm not saying that anything like that's going to happen. It would be pretty wild for that to happen on the U.S. side right now. But Trump is dealing with two leaders who absolutely hate each other. And every time he goes in to make a peace deal, they agree, but then the other one doesn't. So Trump will meet with Putin, and Putin will talk with him, and they'll agree on a peace plan, and everything's great. But then the next day, Zelensky says, I don't agree. And then Zelensky meets with Trump. They agree. They have this great peace plan. Everything's great. But then the next day, Putin says, I don't agree. So you need both leaders agreeing to the same peace plan for really anything to happen. And people don't want to say that for some reason. Because Trump has met with Putin and Zelensky personally, individually, on separate occasions multiple times. And they've agreed to everything they've said. But Zelensky and Putin can't seem to agree on anything, like literally anything. So I'm not sure what Trump's going to do, because I don't know how you can end a war when both leaders have such animosity towards each other. But Trump is the art of the deal king. I'm sure he has some plans, ABC. He probably has a backup plan. So that's about that. Who knows what's going to happen with Russia, Ukraine. Everybody knows that this is the most important thing in the world right now, because every single person on earth will die if this doesn't end soon. And for the globalist perspective, you have to realize that if they lose power on the world scale, they've already said that they're going to kill us all with them. So we're dealing with a group of people that have been in power for hundreds of years and have already agreed that if we get overthrown, we will just kill everyone else with us so that we don't have to go to jail. But you know what? Sometimes those are risks you have to take, because if they don't go to jail, we're all going to die anyway. So maybe let's put them in jail and let's do the gamble. And if we die, we die. But hey, we have to end the globalist reign. And Trump's doing a pretty good job so far weeding them out. But remember, there's people in NATO, there's people in our U.S. military and the Ukrainian military that are complete globalists that have been put there for this specific reason, to keep this war going. So we're literally on a stalemate, kind of on a chessboard. Trump is trying to end the war peacefully, but the globalists are still running the show, and they're still saying no. We either have World War III and everyone dies, or we stay in power. Well, them staying in power is not an option. So how do we end this war without all of us dying? I'm not sure. I really don't know how this will end peacefully without the whole world dying in nuclear war. But this is the reality that it is. And remember, this was all done on purpose. If they would have let Trump win in 2020, this wouldn't even be happening. So just remember that. Who's in charge? So anyway, all that, hopefully Trump does something good that works for everybody. I just don't know how that's going to work when Zelensky and Putin can't even breathe the same air. Like they literally think that each one of them is the devil, which is kind of ridiculous, because Ukraine and Russia have a lot in common. In fact, you could argue that Ukraine is Russia. But everybody knows Zelensky is a dictator, drug addict who is a money launderer who just wants to stay in power. And Putin obviously is no angel. He wants to stay in power, but he also doesn't want to end this war without being embarrassed. There's a lot of factors here, and people just want to think it's black and white. Like, why can't Trump just end it, or why can't Trump just continue it? It doesn't really work that way. Putin and Zelensky both have their say, and this is their war, so it's not like the U.S. can just walk in Ukraine and say, hey, stop. Or go into Russia and say, hey, stop. We have no authority for that. So if this war continues, we're probably all going to die in a nuclear war, but hey, everyone knows that, and everyone's kind of been prepared for that. So we'll see if Dmitry says anything else. And just some other headlines we got going on today. North Carolina passed the Trump-backed map to cement GOP edge in Congress. We'll see if that actually stays. Democrats are saying Americans need to suffer. Everybody knows that. Blah, blah, blah. Zelensky, Trump's Ukraine freeze a good compromise. Russia box. See, like, no matter what Trump does or doesn't do, Zelensky's going to have his own opinion, and it's his war. So, I think Zelensky and Putin just need to sit down with Trump in the middle so that, Trump can actually kind of direct this piece of negotiation. Because I don't think Zelensky and Putin will ever figure it out if they're together. Trump needs to be the third wheel, kind of like a chaperone on a kid's field trip. Like, that's how ridiculous this is. But, yeah, we'll see. I mean, they keep trying to do these peace summits that get canceled. See, it's just impossible almost. You can make the argument that this is impossible to attain peace at this point. Anyway, the Democrats and media losing their mind over the ballroom build. For anybody that knows what Trump is trying to do with this ballroom, if you see the renderings that Trump has released about what it's supposed to look like, it's actually amazingly elegant and extravagant and just luxurious on a steroids. The amount of gold, the chairs are gold. The table is gold. Everything is gold and beautiful. So when world leaders come and they go in that ballroom and they meet with the president and other people, they are going to be impressed. So what Trump is doing is actually a huge service to the White House. And I'm sure world leaders appreciate it because whenever they come, they have to be stuffed in the Oval Office with like 100 reporters, and it's just not comfortable. It's not that good. So anyway, the ballroom is going to be fantastic. Yeah, let's see what else is going on. James Carville, Antifa doesn't exist. Well, you heard it here first, folks. Antifa does not exist. George Soros does not exist. James Carville said so. So I guess we were wrong, huh? Wow. This whole time I thought Antifa existed. A little strange. Anyway, DHS shares violent rap sheet of illegals arrested on New York's Canal Street. Yeah, so New York's having some major issues. Not just on the election. Everyone keeps talking about Mamdani, which we could have a whole video on. But, yeah, a lot of people are leaving New York, tax-paying citizens. So basically what's happening in New York is the tax-paying citizens are leaving. A lot of illegal immigrants are going there, which is why Mamdani's on the rise. Basically, New York is done. New York is like California. It's just never going to be the same ever again unless every single person has a great awakening in their soul and spirit and mind. And, yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. At least in my lifetime. China responds to Trump breaking its dominance with the key agreement. Yeah, Trump and China have a very interesting relationship because China is obviously trying to dominate the world economy in every industry. And Trump knows that too, but they're always so nice to each other. Xi Jinping, Winnie the Pooh, he's always, oh yeah, Trump is fine. Trump is always saying he's a great leader. We have so much respect. When the cameras are off, these conversations that they're having with each other aren't as nice as they're saying. Because Trump's trying to regain American dominance, China's trying to take over the world. So naturally, those are going to clash. Anyway, Walmart CEO demolished his damn narrative on prices. Yeah, he literally came out and said that Trump's economy plan is basically doing well. And the tariffs aren't affecting the prices as much as the Democrats wanted to, which is funny. So they're like mad that the economy's doing good. China overtakes U.S. as Germany's top trading partner. Well, yeah, I mean, China's China. Germany's not going to be our top trading partner forever. Tesla's recalling some EVs. Trump admin approved student loan forgiveness for 2.5 million people. That's not something a lot of people like, and that's not something that his base probably likes. This was probably just something that Trump... It was probably easier to do this than to try to go around it. I don't know. Trump doesn't really care about this topic. The American people do. This is kind of like a vaccine situation. Trump really doesn't put all his thoughts and efforts into this stuff, especially student loan forgiveness. So don't be surprised if he does this again, just because he doesn't really care to... He's focused on other stuff right now. Will his base up like this? No. Will they be loud enough to get his attention? We'll see. And that's pretty much it going on today. I'm sure you saw this story. Mohammed raped 16-year-old Swedish girl, but not long enough to be deported. Yes, this is not a satire headline. This girl got raped, illegal immigrant. And then the court said that the rape didn't last long enough, so it doesn't count or something, whatever they said. I don't even want to talk about that. That's just insane. And just Europe is just dying right now, and they can turn it around, but the problem is they have no leadership. Europe has no leadership that actually is paying attention to what the populace wants. So if you look at the trajectory, Europe is 100% on a course to fail and collapse. And if the only reason that won't happen is if they get different leadership literally within the next 5 or 10 years, that's kind of the window. If they don't do anything, Europe will be destroyed in more than just one way. So yeah, that's kind of what's going on here. This ex-mayor was brutally stabbed in his neck outside his weed shop by homeless repeat offender. Just crime is just beautiful, isn't it? So yeah, that's about it for today. I might do another video today. It's been pretty quiet today. Today's Thursday. I mean, nothing really has happened major so far. But as I speak, something could be happening. So this was kind of a longer video, but hope you guys liked it. I'm not going to ask you to like or subscribe because I'm just here to give you the truth and give you my opinion on some things and just show you what's actually happening around the world. If you go watch the news tonight, they're going to say kind of what I was saying, but it's going to be different. They're going to try to have their spin on it. Anyway, see you guys later, and hopefully we all stay alive.